Smartphones and random eyewitness recordings today capture not only ordinary moments of everyday life. More and more often, cameras catch events that are difficult to explain with provisional logic. Sometimes such footage shows things that can cast doubt on everything we are used to considering understandable. Glowing beams cutting through the night sky. Silent spheres that suddenly split into several smaller objects. Strange aircraft moving in ways no known technology moves. Before you are 30 of the clearest and most mysterious UFO encounters that still raise more questions than answers. Before we begin, I ask you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I also wish you an enjoyable viewing experience. An unusual beam of light descending from the night sky seriously puzzled the residents of Dallas. On the 9th of June, a group of people who were near their home in Dallas, Texas, noticed something strange directly above their neighborhood. In the darkness, a bright source of light suddenly appeared. From it, a distinct beam extended downward that looked nothing like either a spotlight or the light of an ordinary drone. At first, people simply watched what was happening, trying to understand what exactly they were seeing. Then, one of them began filming the scene on a phone. The recording soon appeared on the internet and quickly attracted the attention of viewers. The footage shows a glowing object hanging high in the sky. A powerful beam of light is directed downward from it, as if illuminating the space beneath it. The people observing this phenomenon are clearly astonished and do not hide their surprise. Discussions immediately began online. Some users said that what was happening looked like a scene from a science fiction film. Others suggested that it might be an ordinary stadium spotlight, creating an unusual effect in the clouds. But can everything really be explained that simply? Meanwhile, another strange phenomenon was filmed in the sky over the state of Nevada. During a calm day, one eyewitness noticed 3 unusual objects in the sky, flying in a clear triangular formation. Each of them looked flat and round. Their surface seemed extraordinarily smooth, and the objects themselves looked nothing like known types of airplanes or helicopters. The eyewitness began zooming in on the camera, trying to get a better look at them. The recording turned out quite clear. The objects moved absolutely silently. They seemed to glide smoothly through the sky, maintaining a strict distance from one another and not breaking their geometric formation. When the craft came closer, a light hum appeared in the air, a low vibrating sound that was completely unlike the familiar roar of airplane engines. In the distance, an airplane happened to be flying by, and the difference between its noise and the near total silence of these objects was very noticeable. The UFOs moved slowly and smoothly, as if floating in the air. At the same time, their formation remained perfectly stable. The people observing what was happening were completely baffled. No one could say for certain what exactly they were seeing: experimental aircraft, unusual drones, or something entirely different. The next story happened at night and frightened the eyewitness even more. One night, a man stepped out of his house and noticed a strange white light in the sky. It hung motionless in the air, as if frozen in the darkness. The eyewitness stared at it for a long time, trying to understand what was in front of him. Maybe it was a drone. But the object's behavior seemed far too unusual. The glowing object remained in the sky completely silently and did not move. The man decided to take out his phone and start recording. He was trying to figure out exactly what he was watching. At one point, something even stranger happened. The glowing object directed a narrow beam of light downward, like a spotlight. The beam illuminated a section of the sky beneath the object. The eyewitness did not hide his surprise. He tried to understand whether this was a rare natural phenomenon or something that could not be explained by ordinary means. The beam remained stable for some time and then gradually disappeared. After that, the man watched the recording over and over again for a long time, hoping to understand what exactly had appeared on camera. He never found an answer. During a routine flight over Colombia, one of the passengers was filming the clouds through the airplane window. The recording looked completely ordinary until a dark object suddenly appeared in the frame. It moved quickly across the sky, crossing the frame. At first, it looked like an ordinary shadow, but its speed immediately drew attention. The object flew from left to right, without changing shape or direction. No sound, no trail, only a smooth glide across the sky. The passenger noticed this moment only later, when reviewing the recording. Some viewers believe it could have been a drone. Others are convinced that the object moved too unusually for ordinary technology. Its movement remained smooth and stable, as if it were following a strictly predetermined trajectory. Whatever the nature of this object was, the footage left viewers in complete confusion. But sometimes mysteries are hidden not only in the sky. Sometimes strange phenomena happen directly underwater. A group of people were spending a peaceful day on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Everything looked absolutely normal until a strange blue glow suddenly appeared beneath the surface of the water. One of the passengers quickly grabbed a camera and began recording what was happening, trying to zoom in. A bright radiance could be seen under the water, and it looked completely unusual. The light did not move the way fish or other sea creatures move. It remained stable and almost motionless. People began discussing possible explanations. Some suggested that it might be a rare deep-sea creature that emits light. Others began talking about a much more mysterious version. Perhaps there was something far more unusual on the ocean floor. For example, the wreckage of an unknown aircraft. The light remained cold and steady, continuing to shine under the water and making all the observers ask the same question. What exactly did they see at that moment? But the next story did not happen in the ocean, but on an ordinary city balcony in Nashville. An ordinary evening on a balcony in Nashville, Tennessee, unexpectedly turned into a strange observation that was difficult to explain. A person standing on the balcony of their home noticed something unusual in the dark sky. They immediately took out a phone and began recording what was happening. The sky was calm, without clouds, and without the movement of familiar airplanes. High above the city, a glowing sphere moved slowly. It glided smoothly above the line of city lights, completely silently, as if not obeying the usual laws of movement. The eyewitness zoomed in, trying to examine the object more closely. The glowing sphere continued to move evenly and calmly, without changing altitude. And then something happened that surprised the observer even more. The object suddenly stopped, right in the air. A few seconds later, other small glowing points began appearing from it. They separated from the main sphere and hovered nearby, as if they were independent objects. The person filming what was happening could not believe their eyes. Earlier, they had seen similar videos on the internet, especially on TikTok, but now they were witnessing something similar with their own eyes. This moment, filmed in Nashville, became one of the most discussed fragments of mysterious aerial phenomena. But the strange encounters do not end there. The next case happened right from the window of an airplane approaching the airport. During the approach for landing at Sky Harbor Airport in Arizona, one of the airplane passengers noticed strange lights in the sky. The airplane was slowly descending when the person sitting by the window noticed several bright glowing points not far from the aircraft. The passenger quickly took out a phone and began recording what was happening. The lights hung motionless in the air. They seemed too bright and too still to be airplanes. At the same time, they were too low to be stars. The drone explanation also raised doubts. The lights did not blink like ordinary aviation signals and did not show any familiar signs of flying technology. They simply hung in the sky, forming a loose but noticeable shape. The passenger began to wonder what exactly he was observing. Maybe they were sky lanterns, or some unknown atmospheric phenomena. The video quickly spread on the internet and sparked heated discussion. But that night, no answer appeared. And somewhere else, strange lights were noticed directly above the ocean. A man was on a ferry in the middle of the ocean, enjoying a peaceful trip. There were no shores or other vessels around, only water and open sky. That was when he noticed something unusual in the sky. At first, everything looked completely calm, but suddenly, several bright glowing points appeared above the surface of the water. They appeared literally out of nowhere. The man began filming what was happening on his phone. He turned the camera in different directions, showing that there really was nothing around. No ships, no airplanes, and no sources of light. Only the ferry, the dark ocean, and strange lights in the sky. The glowing points hovered in the air, holding a clear shape. They did not move chaotically, but seemed to maintain a certain structure. The objects remained absolutely silent. Their sudden appearance and strange behavior made the eyewitness wonder, could these have been real, unidentified flying objects? But the next recording turned out to be even more disturbing. It was filmed directly between the skyscrapers of a major city. An ordinary evening in the city unexpectedly turned into a strange observation. One person, looking over the city skyline, noticed unusual lights in the sky. At first, they seemed like ordinary airplane lights, but it soon became clear that something else was in front of him. The object moved between the skyscrapers. Its shape resembled the letter V. Several glowing points could be seen beneath its body. The craft moved slowly and confidently. At the same time, there was no sound of engines at all. The eyewitness was both surprised and puzzled. He could not understand what exactly he was observing. About 12 minutes later, another strange event happened. A new formation of lights appeared in the sky. This time they were arranged in a straight line. The object moved almost as slowly and calmly as the first one. No noise, no blinking signal lights. Only smooth movement through the night sky. Many viewers who later saw the recording began asking the same question. What kind of technology is capable of moving so quietly and smoothly? The next case happened in Asia, and there, the object looked even more unusual. On the 5th of June, 2025, in the area of Duliu in Taiwan, one person noticed a strange object in the sky. He was at home relaxing when, through a window screen, he saw an unusual glow. White lights were moving in the sky, and they did not blink like airplane lights or twinkle like stars. They shone with an even, cold light that stood out sharply against the night sky. A few seconds later, the object itself became visible. It was a disk moving quickly above the city. Along the edges of the disk were glowing lights that pulsed in a certain rhythm. It created the impression that the craft was partially hidden or somehow camouflaged. However, what was most striking was the smoothness of its movement. It did not accelerate sharply or change trajectory, but simply glided through the sky as if experiencing no air resistance. The eyewitness continued filming what was happening, trying to understand what exactly he was seeing. It could have been an experimental drone or secret military technology. But many viewers who later watched the recording asked a completely different question. What if it was something of an entirely different origin? Sometimes an ordinary evening in the company of friends can unexpectedly turn into a mysterious observation. One day, a group of people noticed a strange light in the sky. At first, one of the girls saw it and immediately pointed it out to the others. Everyone looked up, trying to understand what exactly was moving above them. Several glowing points were hanging high in the sky. They made no sound and did not move the way airplanes or drones usually move. One of the observers suggested that it might be a satellite. However, it soon became clear that the behavior of the objects did not resemble the movement of satellites. The lights hung too low and moved too slowly. While the friends continued watching, something even stranger happened. Two of the glowing objects gradually disappeared into the clouds. Only one remained in the sky. The formation broke apart, but no sudden movements or flashes followed. Everything happened quietly and smoothly. The friends kept watching the remaining light, trying to make sense of what exactly they had just seen. Sometimes the night sky can amaze more than any science fiction film, but the next story happened on another continent. Late in the evening, a person was observing the starry sky above Barigui Park in Brazil. At first, everything looked completely ordinary. There were many stars in the sky, and nothing attracted special attention. However, soon the observer noticed a group of lights that looked like stars but moved differently. The glowing points began to move, arranging themselves into a clear triangular shape. Their movement was too synchronized and precise to be a random natural phenomenon. The triangular formation resembled reports of strange observations that had previously come from the state of New Jersey during the so-called drone incidents. A natural question arose. Could these lights have been part of some kind of artificial show or a coordinated flight of technology? Or was the observer faced with something more mysterious? This observation was filmed on the 15th of December, 2024, but answers to the main question never appeared. The next video also left more questions than explanations. Sometimes an ordinary walk can unexpectedly lead to seeing something strange. One person noticed an object in the sky that moved completely silently. It flew smoothly and calmly, without making the slightest sound. In appearance, it looked nothing like ordinary airplanes. The eyewitness decided to zoom in on the phone camera to get a closer look at the object. When magnified, it became noticeable that the object had two wings, and lights on its body flashed in a certain sequence. However, even with that, its behavior remained unusual. It hovered in the air with unusual stability, as if being held in place by some unknown system. This observation was filmed in the city of Kissimmee, Florida, back in 2021. And even years later, people continue discussing this recording, trying to understand what exactly was captured on video. But sometimes, mysterious objects appear even in broad daylight. One person was standing outside and enjoying the clear weather. The sky was clean and calm, but suddenly a bright object hanging high in the air caught his attention. It did not move, it did not shimmer the way stars do, and it did not leave a trail like airplanes. It simply hung in the sky. The eyewitness was surprised and immediately began recording what was happening. The glowing object continued to remain motionless, as if frozen in space. No noise, no movement, only a bright point against the blue sky. Could this be called a real UFO? No answer to that question ever appeared, but the next recording turned out to be even more unusual. One day, a group of friends were relaxing outside, enjoying the calm weather. At some point, one of them noticed a strange dark object in the sky. A black spherical figure was hanging high above the clouds. It looked like a perfectly smooth sphere. One of the people began filming what was happening on a phone, trying to zoom in. The sphere remained motionless and had no visible wings or engines. No one present could understand what exactly they were observing. The object began moving slowly along the clouds. At the same time, no airplanes or other aircraft could be seen nearby. The sphere simply floated through the sky. The observers were amazed by what was happening. During a calm day, one person noticed a strange object in the sky that immediately attracted attention. A metallic sphere was hanging high above the city. It looked perfectly smooth and reflected the sunlight. The strangest part was that the object remained absolutely motionless. It did not sway or shift because of the wind. The sphere simply hung in the air. After some time, a helicopter appeared in the frame. It began circling around the mysterious object, as if trying to examine it more closely. The contrast between the noisy helicopter and the sphere's complete silence looked especially strange. On the 9th of June, 2025, a quiet evening in the Netherlands unexpectedly turned into a strange and difficult-to-explain observation. One of the residents was looking out the window of his home when his attention was drawn to an unusual silhouette in the sky above the neighborhood. The object hung almost motionless, as if suspended above the district. It did not make the slightest sound. There was a strange stillness in its behavior, as if the object was deliberately holding its position. The eyewitness took out a phone and began recording what was happening. And at that very moment, the situation became even more unusual. A bright and narrow beam of light suddenly appeared from the object downward. It was directed strictly vertically and looked like a scene from a science fiction film. The person observing this phenomenon could not believe his eyes. Everything was happening in complete silence. The object continued hanging in the sky, as if performing some unknown task. This recording quickly spread across the internet and became one of the most discussed among lovers of mysterious aerial phenomena. But strange observations do not happen only in quiet European cities. Sometimes something unusual can be noticed even during an ordinary night drive through a megacity. Late at night during a car ride through London, one of the passengers noticed a strange source of light in the sky. The time was about 4:32 in the morning. The sky remained dark, and the city streets were almost empty. Suddenly, a blinking light appeared high above the city. It did not look like an airplane and did not resemble a star at all. The light flashed at equal intervals, as if following a certain rhythm. The passenger quickly took out a phone and began filming what was happening through the car window. Despite the silence all around, the strange light continued blinking while remaining motionless. No noise could be heard. The object simply hung in the night sky. Those who later watched this recording began building all kinds of theories. Some suggested that it could have been a drone. Others are convinced that the phenomenon looked too unusual for ordinary technology. But whatever this light was, its origin remained a mystery. An ordinary evening near the house unexpectedly turned into a strange observation. A person stepped outside and noticed a spherical object in the sky. It hung absolutely motionless. The sphere had neither wings nor any visible structural elements. It simply remained in the air, as if ignoring the wind and other natural factors. The eyewitness began filming what was happening on a phone, and soon a helicopter appeared in the frame. It flew up to the mysterious object and began circling around it, as if trying to examine it more closely. At the same time, the sphere itself did not react in any way to the helicopter's presence. It remained in the same place. On the 19th of April, 2025, a passenger in a car was driving along a desert road not far from Las Vegas. The driver was focused on the road when the passenger noticed an unusual object in the clear sky. High above the desert landscape hung a round metallic object. It reflected the sunlight and looked completely smooth. The object moved slowly and smoothly. At the same time, it had neither wings nor visible engines. The passenger quickly took out a phone and began recording what was happening. In the video, the object can be seen continuing to move, as if observing what was happening below. The eyewitness immediately noted that it was definitely not an airplane. What exactly appeared in the sky above the desert remains unknown to this day, but sometimes similar observations happen during an ordinary walk. On the 3rd of August, 2019, two men were walking along a quiet street in Cincinnati, Ohio. The evening was calm, and nothing foreshadowed unusual events. But at some point, one of them stopped and looked up. A strange formation of glowing lights was hanging above the treetops. They were arranged in an unusual order and shone with an even light. The objects moved slowly and smoothly. Their movement resembled neither airplanes nor drones. The men stopped and began watching what was happening. The lights remained motionless and made no sound. They seemed to hang in the sky. The eyewitnesses exchanged glances, trying to understand what exactly they were observing. It could have been a rare atmospheric phenomenon, but another possibility could not be ruled out either. What if something unknown really was watching them? Such recordings continue to appear all over the world. Cameras capture objects that move too strangely, too quietly, and too unusually to be easily explained. Sometimes they turn out to be drones or rare natural phenomena. But some of this footage still remains a real mystery. And the main question remains open. What are people really seeing in the sky? And what do you think? Write your opinion in the comments.